The O-Zone.
Welcome to the O-Zone Podcast with Jaguars senior writer John Oehser.
All right, welcome into this OTA Week 2 O-Zone Podcast. I'm joined again by Kainani Stevens. And our interview this week is Jaguars center Robert Hainsey, which I've not had him on the O-Zone Podcast before. I'm looking forward to it. He's interesting. Offensive linemen are always interesting. But we'll get started with 6 good minutes. I'm going to call them 3 moderate takes.
Okay, not cold today. It's moderate.
There's not that much going on. They all hit OTAs, which are ongoing. And I guess hot take 1 is BTJ is an OTA star, Kai.
Sure is. And while that sounds a little silly, I think his just mindset's a little bit different, which is nice to see. And we saw him kind of struggle, visually struggling in training camp last year, obviously a little bit at the beginning of the season as well. And just speaking to him, he sounds like he's in a different place mentally. Mm-hmm. His motivation's a little bit different. And we're seeing good chemistry between him and Trevor Lawrence.
He's an interesting guy because the fantasy football skews how players are perceived, I think, because it's all stats. And look, he was not as productive last year as he had been in 2024, but I don't think there's a very big jump that he needs to take to be exactly what this team needs.
Yeah, I think just kind of cutting out the drops and just being a good teammate, which I think he has been, but maybe was getting a little down on himself. Mm-hmm. And Liam Cohen's been very vocal about this is a team where they spread the ball out. It's not going to just be one guy. And so if Brian can be successful when he gets his opportunities, that's what success looks like for him. And
he's hit, without giving too much away, they've hit some deep stuff to him in OTAs. And I don't think that's a secret at this point. If they hit, there's 17 games, if they hit 5 more deep ones to him next year, so you're talking about that sort of impact. They already hit him last year, but as you're developing this offense and as defenses adapt to what you're doing, there is an evolution process that takes place. They've clearly talked about needing more deep stuff to happen next year. Clearly they're working on that, and there's so much that can open up with this offense next year, so many ways it can improve. To me, being a little better running in the situations where they want to run, having the tight ends be a little more involved, and then if you get this little bit more deep, I don't know what their yards per attempt goal is, but if you hit, again, 4 or 5 more of those, boy, the offense, which was already really good, can really look like, one of, quote, those offenses.
It won't take much to kind of get it there. There's a ton of options for them that other people you want to get involved, as mentioned. If he can get a couple more catches in the deep range and open things up, that's a success.
My second, and all these I have written down with an exclamation point, Kai, because they're
important. It's OTAs.
They're big. Parker Washington's still good.
Sure is.
And we've joked before about how every time you see him make a play, you're like, okay, there he goes again.
How did he do it? Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is everybody had sort of this preconceived idea of Parker. He doesn't overwhelm you with his size. He was a 6th-round pick. For the first couple of years, sort of, I don't know if the team had trouble finding what he did. I don't know if he wasn't ready for the role. But last year during training camp, he did it. And then everybody's like, okay, well, let's see if he does it again. During the regular season, he kept doing it, and he kept doing it. And now in OTAs, he just looks like a really good professional football player now, which is what he is.
Talked to him last week, and he talked a little bit about his journey, right? Because at first, he wasn't getting playing time. We thought maybe he's a Christian Kirk replacement slot guy. Then he started returning kicks, punts, and you were like, wait, there's a skill set there. He's making plays on special teams. Then he becomes the guy on offense that'll go up and get the ball, even though he's the shorter guy, and he's physical, and he's kind of been thrust into many different roles due to injury over the years or just necessity, and he's excelled at all of them, and probably one of the best training camps I've ever seen out of a player last year. He earned his spot, and in a contract year, I don't think he'll lack any motivation.
Yeah, and I don't know that he ever will. I mean, some guys are just who they are. They're all independent contractors, meaning, look, in this league, it's nice to talk about team, but you make your own way, and you're either going to fail or succeed. And I think he talked about it with you in the clip we showed earlier today on Jaguars AM, how he really never listens to people who say what he can or can't do. He has just kept getting better and better, and always believed in the Parker Washington company, if you will, and never assumed that because other people said this, or this, he always believed he could excel. And, he's an interesting guy. When you talk to him, I want to say a little different, but, he's maybe a little bit quirky and off to himself sometimes in practice working, but I really respect him and really like how he approaches it, because he's flat out, I'm not going to fail. This is who I am as a player, and I'm going to do everything I can to succeed. And he does.
You ever talk to those people and they say something really confidently and you don't know if they're right or not, but they said it so strongly that you believe them? He's been that way about his play for so long. I feel like he earned Trevor's trust based on him being so sure about himself and where he could be. And now I feel like one of the most trusted receivers that Trevor Lawrence has is Parker Washington. And maybe 2 years ago, that was not something I thought I would be saying.
And I hope I said that right, because I was trying to find my point, but he really... I respect him so much because of just that perseverance, and he is not going to change how he approaches the game, or he's not going to. I'm sure there were worry points in his career, because there always are with these guys, but boy, has he stepped up and stepped through it. So, and last thing I have down here, again with an exclamation point, BTJ and Trayvon healthy.
Health is wealth. Health is something that...
This is a health time of year. Most guys come out and talk about being healthy.
But you can see it differently as well. The way Brian's running around, Trayvon talked about just feeling better, working on that grip strength that he didn't have last year, which you see Trayvon out in the field, and a 50% healthy Trayvon Walker is still better than a lot of people in the NFL. But which proves the point even more. If he's 100%, what's that defense going to look like? Because he can tackle people without the use of his hand. Now he's got his hand back. It's going to look better. So, just maintaining that health and throughout the season, which is more easier said than done. But if they can do that, sky's the limit for them both.
Did you ever see Remember the Titans?
Of course.
And Julian Campbell called Bertier Superman, remember? Trayvon to me is sort of Superman on this defense.
Yes,
meaning
too many people.
He is the guy. And Julius Campbell was just as good as Bertier, by the way. So I don't know what, but to me, Trayvon, when he's healthy, is the Jaguars' defensive Superman, meaning 2 or 3 guys might be able to block him, and I just have this picture of like cartoon Trayvon just throwing people off, right? And I don't think he could be that last year. I think he was still really, really good, but I asked him in the presser on Monday, I think it was, tell me the difference when your hand isn't right. And it was such a stupid question, because obviously with a defensive end, I think about what you can't do and you can't grab, but how much better he can be. And shifting over to BTJ, his quote, I don't know if you were there when he talked, somebody asked him about health, and he said, I can run, it doesn't hurt. Oh. Well, again, we see these guys as Madden figures, and we don't really factor in, even when they're playing, there's things they can't do. If you're running around as a receiver and it hurts to run, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, if you look at him like a video game character, the health bar is probably closer to the red than you realize. And now when you're all the way green, they can do stuff that is normal to them, but it's not with a pain associated to it.
Right.
And when you can do that more freely, that's a great thing. And training that way as well with the full capabilities is something different for us to see, and hopefully it translates in the regular season.
Yeah, you're talking about 2 of your better players being 100%, and the league is a league of injuries. But, 2 Pro Bowl level guys who, if they're healthy, it looks a lot different. We're going to go now to the to the Ozone podcast interview with Jaguars center Robert Hainsey. Welcome into the Ozone podcast interview with Jaguars center Robert Hainsey. And I've been waiting a while to do it. always look forward to talking to you because I know you got a lot of insight into center play, the offensive line, this team. First, just tell me about this off season. Is there a different vibe to this off season there was last year for you?
Yeah, I think
team wide.
Yeah, for like the whole group, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last year there was a lot of new. I know a lot of the guys who have been here have been through some new before. It was my first experience of like, this is a lot of new stuff, new team, new teammates, a lot of new coaches, figuring all those things out.
Because you had been with Tampa
all 4 years.
Right.
And
So,
we had some minor changes. Had the offensive line coach change. We had a head coach change, but it was all pretty fluid and everything pretty much stayed the same. There wasn't everyone in the equipment room and the training room and the meal room, everything was the same. So last year, that was an adjustment to see what that's going to be like. You're kind of just taking it one day at a time, going through it, trying to be yourself and understand what is now expected of you, how you can help the team, getting to know new teammates, making new friends, getting to know your coaches. This year, there wasn't any of that. There was minimal turnover besides bringing the rookies in, and we have had a year together where a year that we're all very proud of, but that we know we left some on the table. So now it's the expectations not necessarily different because our process is the same, and that's how we're going to continue to go about things. But just having been together, we know what to expect of each other. We know what we're capable of and where we can take these things. And so I'd say, even a little bit more of that like laser focus kind of mentality where we're ready to, like I said, process driven, sticking to that.
Right.
And how are we going to make that our edge right now?
How tough is that? It's easy to say, but you got to come in every day, and I guess the phrase is be intentional about, hey, last year is last year. When I'm in a meeting, I can't skim over what I heard last year. I've got to find something new in it. I've got to take that note. I've got to, I guess it felt easy to be urgent last year, and you kind of got to be intentional about being urgent when it's not new. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with when you're learning some of the same things,
right?
And you're almost pretending like you don't know it, and you're trying to not take for granted what you do know, and just building on top of what you know. But like you said, being intentional about, hey, I'm gonna write this thing down that I've said to myself hundreds of times, but I'm just gonna write it down again anyway because I'm in the meeting and I'm gonna be intentional about what I'm trying to learn right now. Like, this is what's important now. What can I focus on now? And it's really like it's the lack of complacency, understanding that just because you've had success or have done well doesn't mean it's going to keep coming. And when you think about how you got your success in the first place, those are the traits you have to continue to use,
and
even though you
had
feel
that. It's easy to say it, but you're feeling it around the building. You're feeling guys feeling that.
Certainly, yeah.
So,
yeah, which is good.
Right.
That's how it should be. And our coaches, I think, have done a great job of that too. Installing things like it's day one, like no one knows anything, like it was first day of spring last year.
Right.
They've done a really good job, especially on the offensive side, at least from what I've seen. Grant and Sean, BP, Liam is just it's day one, and we're starting at day one, and we're going to grow together as the 2026 Jags.
It's in a forum like this, have to talk to you about Liam because you've probably have a different relationship with him than a lot of guys and known him longer. I guess first, how good has he been this off season at what you're talking about? At making, he talked a lot early in the off season about, as coaches, we have to establish these relationships again. We can't assume they're there. We have to keep this fresh. Why is he so good at that?
I think like intentionality, like we said, all the coaches I've interacted with and have had the chance to work with, I think it's, if that was, the message you guys heard, he made it clear to the coaches because you can feel it.
Right.
I think he's good at it because he tries. I think he cares. He understands that to him, that's his authentic self, and he doesn't want to be anything other than that. I would say, and I think it carries into us to where you can just come in, be who you are, and know that these are the things I need to work on. And you have a great support group for that. throughout your teammates and coaches, and how are we going to get better as a group today,
Right.
and what are we going to attack, and what ideas can we bounce off each other. It's been a lot of that, which has been it's fun to that's when it's fun to kind of work on these things.
Sure. I know you discussed this in different forums last year. Did you know that you knew he was a play caller, like you knew he could call plays?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that he would be as I don't know if comfortable is the right word, but as good in front of the room, leading men, having those day-to-day conversations, being a leader every day, which is sort of the difference in a good offensive coordinator and a good head coach?
Yeah.
Did you know those traits coming in?
I mean, I knew he had them for sure. I think I had the expectation of how it was going to be. I had high expectation for how he would perform, but
sure.
I do think he did I thought he did a great job, and he did better probably than
Right.
I even expected of him. I told him that at the end of the season. It was really appreciative, and myself along with the rest of the players on the team,
Sure.
because kind of how he handled that role and how authentic it did feel. Sometimes that's a hard thing,
yeah.
but it's it doesn't have to be. It's just who you are, and if you're the right person for it, like that's gonna come through. You don't
Right.
have to pretend, and so like you get that from him. And I thought last year was a great example of that. We all got better as the year went on, and him too. So I was proud of that, and it was fun to play. He was a fun guy to play for, and the energy that the team had because of it, I thought was
Right.
really positive.
Now, a fun guy to play for, but it's not like he's not tough on you. He's got that combination of being able to show guys that he loves them and cares about them, but that means being tough with expectations. It's almost like that's the way you have to coach now.
I think
with players today.
The reason you want to play is to talk about why do you play. There's a lot of reasons,
Sure.
and a lot of times, I mean, like teammates is a huge one. This goes back to college, younger than that even, but like the guys you're working with alongside of, you have such a pride that you don't want to let those guys
Right.
down, because they're doing the work. You see it every day. You spend a ton of time together,
Right.
and you get to do it together and
The bond
build
is real.
together. The bond
Sure.
is real. So like those guys, when you're out there, it's the guys next to you, it's the guys in the huddle, it's the guys on defense and special teams. You're like, man, I need to do everything I can for the sake of the team.
Right.
And a lot of times, like good coaches who really care about you as players and as a team and your success and want the best for you. Those are the coaches over my career who I've found that they fit into that same category.
Right.
Because there's been other coaches where they do not fit in that same category.
Right.
And I don't.
It's tough.
That is what it is.
Right.
But when you find a good coach who cares like that,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like, I want to succeed because I also don't want to let them down.
Mm-hmm.
And he fits into that category because of the way he is, like we were just talking about.
Gotcha. How do you, or what do you focus on as an offensive line to improve? Good year, very good year last year, but obviously you guys look for things in the offseason to get better at. Anything in particular?
I think we did take a lot of steps last year. I thought we improved over the course of the year. I think a big next step for us is just even more understanding of how we can we take that next step,
Sure.
like you said. And I think a big part of that is some of the adjustments, running plays into not so great looks, but
Okay.
to be able to just stick with the play and adjusting on the move. So like running plays into pressures, away from pressures that typically you might want to get out of, but maybe not having to do as much this year.
Okay.
I think that's a great starting point for us, understanding just the intention of our plays and how can we help our backs, our tight ends, our
Right.
quarterback? How can we help everyone else even more by our understanding of the play and of the offense?
What's the outside of talent, and maybe it is talent, the most important trait an offensive line can have?
Great question. My initial thought went to pride, kind of like I was just talking about, the pride and not let each other down, selflessness and accountability. Those three things I think are mandatory in an offensive lineman,
Right.
just because the pride to do it for someone other than you kind of goes into selflessness, because we know, like you say, like, oh, you don't get the stats and all that stuff, but I mean, we've all played offensive line. By this point, we played it for a long time,
Right.
so we're not really like worried about that.
Right.
It's more so just like the mundaneness of it. I'm gonna, I'm doing this so that others can succeed, and that's fun. I think it's truly what it means to like be part of a team.
Right.
And football is the best team sport there is, and I think offensive line, the five offensive linemen, is another embodiment of what football's about.
Right.
It's 5 guys. You got, because on offense and you need 11 guys doing it right if you want to succeed.
Right.
And part of that is it's the biggest group on the field. There's not 5 of any other position out there usually.
Right.
Definitely not every play.
And the room's bigger. Even with
there's more
backup, there's
people.
9, 10, practice squad 11.
Right.
So
that's like, it's another mirror image of what is it to be a good teammate, I
Right.
think. And if you treat it that way and you believe in that and love it for that, then it's a lot of fun to play.
now, will you catch grief from line mates, get fined for talking, or do you guys believe in that? 'Cause a lot of offensive lines kind of give each other grief.
Like here?
Yeah.
If they see it, I will. But I don't. There's a good chance. I don't know. If it
Sarah
doesn't get on the Instagram, they're not going to see it.
Because Sarah was in here last week, so he'll probably catch some grief too.
Oh, yeah. So
what is it about him that worked in terms of working with you guys, Sean?
I think he's done an unbelievable job in just like adapting to the way we are. He was kind of. I think we have a fun room. It's a good group. It's an older group,
Yep.
but it's all kind of similar aged.
Right.
We're all 28 at the oldest, maybe 9,
that's
like
right.
year 8, 7, 6,
Yeah.
5, like. So it's fun because we're all in like kind of that same life stage. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
My rookie year, like I was the youngest, and there was a lot of really old. There's some older guys
right.
that there was pretty big dispersion.
Right.
It's been nice. It's been fun here that we haven't had a huge dispersion, so we all get along really well.
Right.
I think just his style of encouragement on how we can improve has been consistent.
Getting back to the previous question, you see offensive lines all the time that are really, really good offensive lines that don't have a Pro Bowler on it. They don't have an All-Pro. They don't have that elite guy. So I guess that's what you're talking about. It's about fit. It's about pride. It's about a lot of things that aren't necessarily, having, the elite Hall of Fame guy
Yeah. Well, I think
in the
like
lineup. It's harder at other positions to achieve that.
yeah, and like we've talked. There's some players out there who, but especially like the guys who are the quarterbacks and some receivers, running backs. You need the ball in their hands to go win a game.
Right.
It's the end of the game, or maybe you're in the red zone and you have one of those receivers who just where the ball's going
Right.
and he's going to go get it. You think back to like some of the guys who are like that.
Right.
It's a different kind of thing because we have that almost like every play where
Right.
there's a guy across me, like I have to beat
Yeah.
him on this player and nothing else can really happen.
One thing goes wrong, it's a disaster for
Yeah,
you.
it's just over and over.
Yeah.
So, and if you can do that, like and you're not like you don't get the accolades and all those
Right.
things, like that's fine if you did your job to the best of your ability, and you want people to recognize it. Sure, that's human nature, but I think I would take team success over those
Right.
individual accolades. And I think like what's cool about this team is not just the offensive line, but every position would say that.
What are film sessions day after game like with Sean?
They're pretty good. It depends on how the game. Well, no, it doesn't really depend on how the
Right.
game went, which is a good thing.
Gotcha.
It's consistent. Here are the things we did well. Here are the
And
things
that's what
we
you're
need to do
looking for,
better.
right?
Yeah,
The-
So I was
The word you
incorrect
just
to
said.
say that because that's not true. It's even if it's not our best game, we're going to go through it. We're going to coach it up.
Right.
Even if we have a great game, we're going to go through it. We're going to coach it up because no matter what, there's always going to be things you can get better on.
Right.
And the focus is always going to be on like, hey, what's that next thing?
How much, a lot of centers I've talked to over the years enjoy the leadership aspect of the position and take that very seriously because you have to be able to lead from that spot. Big deal for you? That's something you take pride in?
Yeah, I think I take a ton of pride in that. Being the captain last year was a huge honor. Like that, being a captain my final 2 years at Notre Dame, huge honors that I don't take lightly at all.
Right.
Very proud that my teammates think of me at that level and would think to look to me in a time.
And to come in
To
first
lead.
year and be a captain had to be pretty cool because starting something, they clearly look to you as, hey, we can depend on this guy through some adversity, which is going to happen in year one.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a goal of mine at some point in my career to be a captain. So like, I was super proud. I was super proud of that. And you know, I didn't play center in college. I played right tackle all 4 years, but I think like we had a really smart group, a really good group every year I was playing there. So we all saw the game pretty similar. I felt like I had a good understanding of what we were looking at, especially as the years went on. The transition to center, I wasn't unsure what it was going to be like, but it turned out to work out really well for me. I do think it fits like my personality, who I am, and just my understanding of the game.
You remind me of centers.
Yeah, I feel and I think that also something like I don't take lightly. Like that's who I am. So like getting to be myself and it working out that way is it's cool and super special. And I'm glad that I can have that role and make the calls, be the communicator, and bring people along as much as I can.
It's really pretty cool too. You know, you left Tampa. Not everybody in the NFL sort of gets, I don't call it a second chance, but a chance to come to a new franchise and be part of something again and be part of a core, which I felt like you were last year. Mm-hmm. And not every player gets that opportunity. How much did you value that?
I mean, it was so important for me as a player and just as a person. I feel like this was this was the best opportunity I could have asked for. Right. Just the situation worked out super well, and you spend a lot of time like thinking about how those things are going to go before they happen, and really worrying about them. And
I'm sure you've known a lot of guys where it doesn't quite. Yeah. Good players where it just doesn't quite get a fit. Yeah. It can be tough.
It can be tough. And so I don't discredit the fact that like I'm super lucky for timing purposes, for relationships that I've been fortunate enough to build. And I'm proud of like the way I can handle myself in certain situations. And I'll just, those things kind of all culminated in being able to come to the Jags last year. Right. And like you said, like get to be a part of something that can be really special. Yeah. And that's that is something to be proud of and be excited about, because there's a lot of upside that we can continue to have here in Jacksonville.
Could you tell immediately that it had a chance to click last year when you got here, and if so, why? Meaning it had been a while for this franchise, but everything sort of felt right.
No, quickly. I wouldn't say immediately, because there was so much I didn't know.
Sure.
Like, I didn't know any of the people here. As we got through the off-season program, I remember thinking like, this is a really talented team. Just looking around like who we have. Okay. And then we get to training camp, and still none of us have played together. We got a bunch of new guys on the offensive line, just in general.
Right.
And so
until you hit, you don't know.
Yeah. Right. But then you get to training camp, and like, okay, you're still starting to figure it out. Then you get to the first game, and you're nervous for the first game. You're like, all right, we still haven't really played together. Right. Like, we played a little bit in the preseason. It was okay. Right. We got to come out after 2 series or whatever. And that first game, we went out there, and we were playing pretty well, I think. And then we had that rain delay in the second quarter.
That's crazy. Right.
And that was like, I think we were up like 10-0 or something at the time. We had been playing well. I felt good about it. Like,
yeah, you had the edge.
Yeah, pregame, we were kind of quiet. We were kind of feeling it out. Like, all right, let's see how this goes. We had come in that rain delay. We were talking a lot. The offensive line was talking a lot. How were we feeling? How were we doing? And it was like,
we were able to run a little bit.
Yeah, we were running the ball well. And it was just like, I was like, all right, we're having fun. And I remember saying like, man, this would not have been fun if we had this rain delay before the game started. But right now we're in a good spot. And like, I do think from there, just, that was a moment I remember that was fun and interesting. And, we just kind of kept building, like day after day, being what's the process? How's it gonna take us to where we want to go?
How the relationship with Trevor? How impressed were you last year with him, his growth, his development, consistency? I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go talking about Trevor, but I guess what impressed you most?
Yeah, I think one, it's been really fun to get to know him as a friend, and we get along super well. It's been really, it's been a great relationship to be able to build.
Right.
It was a lot of fun watching him just grow, like you said. The biggest thing I thought was how much, they put on Trevor's plate. The differences in the offense we're running versus the offense he ran. From what I understand, what he's told me, what some of the coaches have said, it's just very different. It's a lot more on the quarterback. I knew it. I learned it when we were in Tampa with Baker, talking to him about it, how much he has to do. I still probably can't fully comprehend everything that he has to do, but I totally understand.
But every play has something to do with the line.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of checks. There's a lot of motions. There's a lot, and so I know how much time and effort he put in the. Even before we all came together, before we all got together, I know he was here working on stuff, figuring it out. And it was just throughout the course of the season from last April to January. I mean, it was really constant growth. It felt like just getting better, getting more comfortable, being himself.
Right.
Once you feel comfortable in it, not to say you're complacent, but it's okay, now I can go play a little bit. I don't have to be
right.
You can take some of the robotics out of it, and that goes for all the positions.
Sort of thought of that with some running and some just, I would say freelancing, but
just playing football.
Free to play.
I mean, he's a great player, and he's who he is. He's here for a reason, and so you want him to be him.
Right.
That's what we need. That's the best version of him you're going to get, just himself. And so watching that kind of overtake it early in the year and just continue to grow was super fun, and just really proud of him. Glad to be able to play with him and all the other guys here. It's a group that isn't going to quit, or we're just going to continue to try to find the next thing that we can improve at. Because
quarterback's all about being yourself, right? Baker and Trevor are both successful quarterbacks, pretty different guys. Mm-hmm. So it's really just about. I mean, and I guess that's leading the question to Trevor. Is he as consistent and as maybe not positive, but as consistent in personality and approach as it seems like he is from the outside? Oh yeah,
I think a good measure of someone's how are you every day. We always had that in college. You want to be the same guy every day. You don't want to be ups and downs, because when you're the same guy, you know what you're getting. I know I can count on you. And a
quarterback, that's hard.
It's hard, and it's also probably the most important, because he's just we need him. Everyone looks to him every day, and so. He's been dealing with that for a long time, since high school probably. So a lot of these guys have, and so he handles it extremely well inside, outside the building. Being the franchise quarterback, well, those things that come with that are great. But getting to know Trevor as Trevor has been super fun, and we get along really well. I'm grateful to have him as a friend and teammate.
You mentioned switching positions in your career. Having done that, how impressed were you with Van Lanen last year?
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was insane, honestly.
Do people grasp how it's easy for us to say it and write it and talk about it, but you've done it.
No, and right to left is really, really difficult.
Right.
It might sound like, a right tackle and left tackle. I've seen it. You've seen it done at some pretty
It's like trying to write with different hands.
It really is. I got playing with Tristan in Tampa. He was all pro right tackle, all pro left tackle. That was ridiculous. And what Cole did last year, playing all 4 possessions at the level we did, it's it's at that same level of wow, that's insane.
Can he snap? Could he? Yeah. If he had? Okay.
He could. He absolutely can.
Okay.
He doesn't like. I don't think he loves to. We kind of joke about it. We're like, hey, make sure you get in a few just in case. Just in case. But no, what he did, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very impressive that to hit all those positions, play at that level, and then he
play
got
well, not just do it, but play well.
Play well.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and you see it. You get when you're that, you get rewarded for it, and he earned every bit of that the hard way over the course of his, not just last year, but his entire career. I've talked to him, gotten to know him, and from his time in Wisconsin, he's a guy that's been earning it, and I just have a ton of respect for Cole and how he does things.
I don't know you well enough to know the answer to this, but this seems like a good time in your career, a good place, meaning you're a veteran, you know how the league works, you have the experience on the field, and still physically playing at a high level. I mean, sort of in your prime. Mm-hmm. Is this a good time to be Robert Hainsey, I guess, is the
I think if you ask that question to anyone, the answer should be yes. Sure. You always want to make it. You always want to make it a good time to be yourself. But I think thank you, and it's It has been fun. I mean, I've had ups and downs like everyone
you found
else.
a place that's a good fit. I mean, all that sort of coming into the equation.
Yeah, it's fun. Like all the negative things, all the challenges, like help you get here.
Right.
And we love Jacksonville. I've really enjoyed being here. I really enjoy the group of people I get to come to work with every day, and that means a lot because when you get to come to the building and it's fun and you get to enjoy it and you look forward to seeing the guys, that makes it a whole lot easier. And you got guys who are bought into the things that we want to do. And so we've been super grateful to be here for the opportunity and just excited to do whatever we can, and do whatever I can to take the team to the next level, to help the guys around me, to be whatever I'm needed to be.
Right. Final thing we do, we call it the Ozone 5. It's 5 quick questions. It's supposed to be fun.
Okay.
I'll let you decide if it is.
Okay.
Robert Hainsey, what was your last binge watch?
Landman.
Okay. It was good, right?
It was really good.
Yeah, we don't have Paramount yet, but I'm looking. Yeah, it's.
My fiance left for the long weekend. I was like, I need something to watch.
Okay.
I'd heard about it and I crushed it. It was really good.
Yeah, Billy Bob's solid.
Yeah.
On the way in the morning, podcast or music?
Mostly podcast.
And the last podcast this morning? What do you listen to?
I'm listening. There's a podcast called Acquired. It's
Okay.
these two guys. They do deep dives into companies and the history behind them.
All right.
The one I'm listening to now is about the company Vanguard, the Vanguard 500 index fund. So I like it. I think it's interesting. It's fun stuff to learn about.
Yeah.
It's probably not everyone's favorite, but I like that stuff.
No doubt. Sport other than football that you were good at?
That I was good at. My next best sport was probably basketball.
Okay.
I didn't play it long enough. I played up until high school. I probably wish I would have played more, but put a lot into football.
Yeah,
now it's just golf.
Feet?
Yeah, I got basketball legs, that's for sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Now it's golf. Now I'm trying to be good at golf.
Okay.
Trying.
And?
We're
trying.
I'm improving, I think. I do think recently I've been improving, and I'm proud of that.
All
I'm
right.
going to keep working at it.
The last, and this is the entire career, last touchdown you scored or the closest you ever came?
I scored some touchdowns growing up. In high school, I got like a tackle screen for like a 2-point conversion.
Okay.
In my junior or senior year.
How close was the game? Did it matter?
No.
It was okay. It was a gift.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but growing up, I played like fullback and tight end a lot.
Okay.
So up until through 7th grade, I got a couple under my belt.
Last time you touched the ball other than when you were snapping it in a game?
I've recovered a few fumbles.
Recovered, okay.
Did I get any? I don't think I had any last year. It would have been 3 years, 2023.
Gotcha.
I had 1 or 2 fumble recoveries.
But it's not necessarily what you want because you're
not ideal.
Making up for mistakes.
But better me than them.
Better, so. That's right. The person or people that you wouldn't be here without?
Long list. I think starting with my parents, my sister, my family.
Okay.
My fiance, I'm getting married in a couple weeks.
Fantastic.
Marielle, she's been unbelievable, and
congratulations.
We've known her. Thank you. So we've known each other my whole time, and we met our senior year of college. So my whole time here, or in the NFL, she's been with me, and she's a rock for that. And then I think it's a lot of great coaches I've had. My strength coach in college, his name was Matt Bayless. He's unbelievable. My offensive line coach in college, Harry Heastand. Those are 2 guys. AQ Shipley, who I trained with and met my rookie year.
Sure.
AQ has done more for me, as much for me as any of these other people, and especially when it comes to football. And so all those people that, I'm very fortunate, like I talked about, what relationships mean. I'm fortunate to have a lot of great ones and a lot that mean a lot to me. People who care about me and want the best for me.
Gotcha.
And that's what it really matters. That's what it's all about. And I think when you get to leave this game, that'll be the most important thing you take from it.
Robert, I knew this would be great, and it was. Thank you for joining the Ozone Podcast. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, that was Robert Hainsey on the Ozone Podcast interview, I guess we'll call it. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Robert until we did that interview. And I said to him during the interview, I said, you really remind me of a center.
He's enjoyable to talk to.
And I said that as a compliment because centers, because they naturally take a leadership role, and even if they're not the old man in the room, they always sort of act like the old man in the room.
They have that energy.
And he certainly has that guy who has the perspective to be a leader.
they're also kind of a bridge person, right? Like obviously they're close with the quarterback, they're close with their offensive line, they're in the middle of everybody, and the running backs as well. So they kind of feel like they bridge some of the position groups together. And I think he's a perfect example of that, and kind of having be a man that wears many hats, and he's done a great job in the limited time he's been here so far.
Yeah, and he's a heck of a story because Tampa, he was starting. They drafted somebody to take his place. He had to sort of work through that, and the perseverance to get a, quote, second chance in the league to be part of, an ascending team doesn't always happen. And I think he's really enjoying that part of his career.
He's also got a unique relationship with Liam, obviously working with him in Tampa and being a priority to bring over here to help restart start his career as a head coach. That was important to Liam. So it's been interesting, and he's a great interview. So
no doubt.
Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Let's do some of our Ozone questions to close things out. First of all, we're going to do Mark from Archer. It says, John, am I in the minority of not worrying about Ventrell Miller taking over for Devin Lloyd? I think that system is going to allow any average linebacker to be successful.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's going to allow average linebackers to be successful.
I don't think we're calling either of them average necessarily, but he's saying the system is built for success for that position.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, Devin had an incredible year interceptions last year. I don't know that Ventrell will match the 7 turnovers Devin created. But I do think Ventrell, the question was, is he the only one who's not worried? Well, nobody in the building's worried.
Clearly.
So
they haven't made a move to even shore that up in any way.
Yeah.
They're very much giving him the opportunity to earn that starting spot.
So I think there are ways that they believe the defense can be better with Ventrell. They certainly did not want Devin to leave. The coaches wanted him back. They would have loved to have him back. It doesn't always work for him to be back. But Ventrell Miller was a co-starter going into last year. There's no reason that there will be a big drop-off, and I don't think the team thinks there will be.
Neither do I. All right, Yeti Daddy from somewhere yet nowhere. I'm really interested in how well the offensive line will perform this year. Which games should be the toughest for the offensive line?
Well, yeah, everybody's interested in how the offensive line perform. I think they're going to be good this year. I think Wyatt Milam could push. I think they're going to be just as deep as they were last year, if not deeper, frankly. Look, the obvious one to me, and my answer when I answered this in print, was the Houston Texans are always going to be the challenge. And it has nothing to do with the Jaguars' offensive line. It's the fact that they may be the best defensive line in the league. So
and you get them twice a year, too.
The 2 matchups against Houston, most teams answering this question honestly will say, hey, yeah, we got to block Houston. I mean, they're a tough matchup. Philadelphia's a tough matchup. There are others. But for this franchise, blocking Houston's a big deal because that's their superpower. Guess what the Houston's saying right now? We got to stop that team. Mm-hmm. So there's different things going on, but Houston's defensive line's a strength.
All right. Steve from Jacksonville wants to know, will adding more tight ends mean the run game is going to be the main focus?
It's going to be a focus. But look, adding the tight ends doesn't necessarily make passing or running the key. It gives them different personnel packages they can run out of and different looks. They want to run the ball better, and I think they will run the ball better. It's sort of involved with 2 tight ends, but whether or not they had gone out and gotten tight ends, they wanted to run better. I think it will help them out of certain looks. I think they'll be a better running team. But more than anything, the 2 tight ends are about trying to get those packages and trying to get different wrinkles in a personnel scheme to match up against the 3 safety looks.
All right, our get to know zone question for you today. I always like to surprise John with these. Talking to Robert Hainsey, the offensive line, it's a unique position group in the personality department, and I say that because I feel like a lot of them are quiet, but some of the smartest people on the team, just based on generalities and our experience. I know you've talked to a lot of players over your illustrious career. Who's the most intelligent player that you've interviewed or worked with?
Oh, most
and
intelligent?
Was it a lineman?
That wasn't a lineman.
Or was it a lineman?
Oh, was it a lineman? There's so many. I joke about Baselli all the time. Baselli's really smart. Yeah,
he is our boss now as well. We'll note that as well.
Yeah, and
no, I'm just kidding. Tony's obviously a very smart guy.
Well, and I didn't realize it when I covered him necessarily, but because I was young and I hadn't talked to a whole lot of NFL players, so Calais was really, really smart. Paz was really, really smart. Just guys I've covered here. Saturday in Indy was smart. Most centers, I don't know if they're smarter than the rest of the guys, but they are able to use that intelligence and share that intelligence more. So, yeah, I'd put it up. I can't remember. It's hard to play in this league if you're not smart. And that's probably one of the most overlooked aspects of being a great player. An obvious choice for me is Peyton Manning was high-end smart as a quarterback. Most quarterbacks are. But most coaches will tell you, look, if you're slow on the uptake, it's hard to pick up what they're doing. And so it's pretty rare to come across a guy where you walk away going, that guy's just not that bright up. I mean,
it's hard to keep up nowadays. I mean, you can be physically great, but if you can't follow along with the schemes, things are so much more complicated in 2026 that you have to be smart.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Marvin Harrison in Indy was high-end smart. The high-end players, like the Hall of Fame guys, Fred was smart, Mojo was smart. I mean, it's hard to be great and elite because, as you know, being around these guys, so much more goes into getting their career. We talked about Parker earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. Parker's really smart to be able to figure out how to get from where he was to where he is. You just can't do it unless your mind is working at a high level in terms of how you approach life, how you approach everything. So, good question. But I would say it's rare to come across a guy who's not pretty smart.
Smart. Ozone, the smartest of them all.
I'm not very smart because I temporarily forgot that I have to close the show. Look, thank you, Kai, for doing this. Thank you to Robert Hainsey. Thank you to Brent Reber for producing it. Thank you to Dave DeCandis, our boss, for allowing us to do this at this time. And that's the Ozone Podcast for this week. Thank you very much.